Today's guest is best known for his role as Nate on the Netflix hit series That 90's Show. Please welcome to the Zoom, Max Acee Donovan.
How's
Hello!
it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Really excited.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Of
I'm
course.
pumped.
So on Behind the Resume, we always start by talking about how we met. And we met through a mutual mentor, teacher, friend, Matisha Baldwin, who
God.
actually was a guest on Behind the Resume. So I'll link her episode down below. But how did you meet Matisha, actually?
I think it's a funny story. We met Matisha. I guess I met Matisha through my sister, who met her through one of our mutual friends when we were living at a place called Oakwood, which
Okay.
I don't think is actually there anymore. But it was sort of like the place for child actors to go when they first moved out to LA. And one of our good friends there was Mackenzie Soul, who
Okay.
is a singer, and um, he was like, "Well, you guys should go meet Matisha." And then we were like, "Oh my God, it's the best person!" Thank God we found her. And
No,
yeah, then she connected us.
yeah. So we were both filming in Vancouver back in, what was that, like February of 2021?
I think so because it was right in the middle. It was a good place to be during COVID
Yeah.
because it was like we could actually go out to lunch and stuff.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, that
So
must have been like February or so.
so we got together and met up, and that was so much fun.
Yeah, I still have all the photos on my phone.
I
We killed the
know.
game.
Yeah, I remember we went to that, like, it was like a soap store, or like a, do you remember
Oh
that?
gosh. Yeah, wait.
It was down
Was
the
it
street from like
soap?
the cafe, and we were looking at like
It was
soaps
definitely
and all.
something that smelled good. It was either soap or candles.
Yeah.
I know that it was great though.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you have been absolutely killing it, and I can't wait to talk
You.
about your entire journey. So, starting from the beginning, where are you from?
I'm originally from Colorado, although I've moved around a bunch. So I was like born in Baltimore, grew up in Colorado, and I've lived kind of everywhere in between. But mainly Colorado, so I'll go with that. I grew up there until I was about 10, and then I moved out here to LA.
And that was to pursue acting?
Yes. So it was funny. My sister and I, we did like a little summer camp at Theater Aspen where they brought this like Hollywood producer in to make a couple of short films that would then compete against each other at the end of the film festival. So we got split up, so it was, good for the sibling rivalry type thing.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of it, he told my parents that they should take my sister out to LA if they could. And they both happened to work from home at the time, so it kind of worked out really well that they were like, okay, we'll take you out for pilot season and see what happens. And I was just like the little 9-year-old brother who was like, okay, I'll come along. That sounds fun. And I happened to get an audition with her, and we got on a set together. And I was like, oh man, this is amazing. This is definitely what I want to do. And so yeah, kind of like stumbled into to falling in love with acting.
Wow.
Worked
And
out.
your sister Claire is so talented. She
Oh,
is
nice.
so incredible. But that's wild. So how old were you when that happened?
I think I was like 8 or 9. I
And before
somewhere
that,
there.
did you have any interest in performing?
Looking back now, I realize probably because at the time I hadn't really ever considered it because in Colorado the thing to do is like football or soccer or baseball, and so I was really into that. But looking back now, I realized that it was always a big thing in our family to be involved in like the movies and everything. It was the first thing that we could do when we were able to sit up and sit still for like an hour. We would
Right.
go to a movie theater, and my sister and I would always perform like the Olympics, quote unquote, for our grandparents. We would put on socks and skate around on their hardwood floors. And then we would perform like Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, which I don't know if you've ever heard a rendition of it that's not Michael Jackson, but I don't recommend ours because she was great. I was not. But yeah, I think now looking back, I probably did always have that, part of me, but I didn't
Mhm.
really get to find it until I came out here to LA.
Yeah. Were you homeschooled?
Um, I'm trying to think. I think I was for like my school schedule was weird for a couple years there because I was in a school in Colorado, and then they let me do like the second half of the year from LA, and I would just be sending in my work. And then I did like a charter school homeschool program for a year, and then I went to a regular middle school. Decided I didn't really like the whole like you know thousand kids in one school thing, and went back to an online school for the next year. But once I got to high school, I went to the LA County High School for the Arts, which is an in-person school.
You came out to LA for pilot season and then you just stayed?
We just never left. Yeah, we I don't really know what happened because we booked a couple, like we booked a music video and then a short film, and we were both like, okay, this is awesome. And my parents were like, well, we might as well just stay for the episodic season, and then the next episodic season just kept turning into like the next pilot season, and eventually it was just kind of like, well, why would we go back to
Wow.
Colorado if I think originally the idea was to kind of go back and forth between here and Colorado, and we still somewhat do that. We go back there for all our holidays and everything, and my mom goes there a bit more than I do, but uh, we just sort of eventually decided it was too much effort to drive like 15 hours back and forth all the
Yeah.
time, and so it just sort of turned into living in LA, which I'm very happy about because it's a lot of fun in LA.
Oh my gosh. So your parents have always been really supportive of all of this?
No, they're amazing. I can't speak their praises enough. They're incredible people, and they gave me such an awesome opportunity.
Yeah. So when you
Yeah.
and Claire got to LA, how did you go about getting representation or finding auditions or getting into class and all of that?
Well, I think honestly, it was a lot of it through that. I don't know exactly how my parents found it. I think they like looked it up online. Where do you go to find that? And we ended up at that Oakwood Apartments, who had this young actors program. And through the young actors program, they had like this week in August of 2014 where they brought in a bunch of managers and agents just for meetings, and that's where we met our first manager. Um, who signed us that week and then told us to come back in like 5 months for the pilot season. And from there, we sort of got in with, I think, Margie Haber and then Zach Barnett for acting classes, and a couple other places that were great that I'm blanking on the names of. And I think we did that for like the first 2 months, and then we got a couple of auditions for agents there. And I got Osbrink. My sister got Sovereign at the time, and it just sort of. I mean, I'm not really sure. I was so young that I think I was just kind of like, all right, let's go. But I think it was some that was sort of the timeline. Is we got the manager, then we came back out and did a couple acting classes, and we got the agents, and then from there it was a pretty slow pilot season. I think there were only so many things auditioning, and so it was kind of a good time to really learn the craft and go to all these classes. And I think we did an improv class and a scene study and an audition technique. So it was pretty cool. But yeah.
So what was it like doing this all with your sister?
Oh, I mean, we're such an interesting sibling duo because I feel like we've never really had a fight or anything like that. We're just super close. And I always say she's like my best friend in the whole world. So I'm very lucky that I get to do a lot of this with her. And she's also, like you said, she's just so talented that
Yeah.
it's kind of I just sit there in awe of her a lot. I'm just like, oh my God, how did she sit down and write like a whole episode of something or whatever it ends up being? It's amazing. But I'm really glad that we've gotten to do a few projects together, and then we always, whenever one of us gets an audition or anything like that, we always help the other break it down and shoot it. So it's nice to have sort of that built-in person for that, and yeah, it's amazing.
Wow. Do you remember your first exciting booking here out in LA?
Ooh. Okay, yeah, it was for a music video and it was called Love, early 2015, and I remember because we booked it together, which the we were like we want to be the sibling team out in Hollywood, like John and Joan Cusack or Ben and Casey Affleck, and which at the time I didn't even really know who they were, but I was still like, let's do it, I'm in. And yeah, it was sort of like the first real thing that we had booked, and we got to do it together, which was amazing. And then right after that, I can't remember exactly the timeline, but it was like a week or so between this and the next thing was a short film called Poor George, and that was also really exciting because we got to play siblings in the movie,
Mm.
and I got like this crazy punk like mohawk and goth makeup. It was very cool. So
Wow.
probably those two. Definitely what I didn't expect was like how many. auditions there are. Like I think on the one hand I'm very lucky that I've gotten to be in the room on a lot of things, but on the other hand I've only booked like three out of however many auditions I've done, and it was definitely in the the first 3 years or so. I I I think I was at a very good age, and like I was a 10-year-old boy, and so there were just so many different opportunities. But it was crazy how many other 10-year-old boys there were out here, and how many people. It's like, oh my God, there's 1,000 talented people in this room. Like it's, yeah. Probably that. And also just like the thing that surprised me the most was I'm from a very small town in Colorado, and I didn't realize how big a big city actually is, because Denver, which is the biggest city in Colorado, is pretty big, but it's also pretty compact. So it's like you go there and it's that. LA is like mind-bogglingly huge to me still, because you can drive like an hour and only be, one town over. And I'm like, oh God. And
Yeah.
so sometimes I would get auditions on the other side of town, and we would drive like 2 hours to get to it. And I'd be like, this is all still LA? Are you sure? 'Cause this doesn't seem accurate to me.
No, what you said about like just auditioning for so many things
Yeah.
is totally true. So did the rejection, did that ever get to you or no?
I mean, there were occasionally like roles that I would be really hoping that I would get, and really cool projects that now I'm like, I'll look at the project and be like, oh man, I wish I had. But on the other hand, for the most part, I do think that like the right people get it. And so every time I watch a show that I maybe auditioned for them and they got the right person, I'm like, well, I couldn't have done that. So good for them. But I think sometimes yes, but for the most part, it was just sort of like, aw dang, and then I would move on to the next audition, because I didn't want to think about it too much, because I knew eventually, or I hoped eventually, there would be my role, and I am lucky that I did get a couple things. So yeah. Mhm.
Was the dream to be on Disney Channel?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Like every time I lived right in Burbank for a long time, and there was the Disney Studios, and then you'd drive like 10 minutes, and there would be the giant Disney Channel building, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's Disney.
Yeah.
And so I remember being so nervous getting that audition, because I went to the like big Disney building in Burbank, up to the 21st floor. They had like me and 20 other kids sitting in the lobby, and we were all just like,
Oh my God.
and I flubbed the audition so bad too. I forgot every single one of my lines, and then I literally went down to the bathroom downstairs and just like crying and texting my parents like, guys, this is it for this role.
Oh
I
my
really
God.
wanted it. And then they were like, Max, could you come back in the room, and had me do it again. And then I was like a mess, but actually remembered my lines.
Wow.
Yeah, it almost didn't happen, but that was definitely the big goal, was like Disney Channel. It's Disney Channel.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
What shows on Disney did you watch growing up?
Ooh, all of them. I
Yeah,
think
right.
probably mainly Wizards of Waverly
Yeah.
Place, Hannah Montana, and then I was a big fan of Sweet Life on Deck.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and Pair of Kings.
Pair of
Might be
Kings. I don't know
wrong.
that one.
Yeah, I think it was Disney XD. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Did you
they were
watch Jessie?
picking it. I love Jesse. It's the best.
So good.
Yeah.
So what
No,
was your audition process like for Gabby? Like how many rounds did you go through?
I think I went through 8 rounds, which was the most I'd ever done for any audition. But I had like the very first, I was 12 when I first auditioned for it, and I was 13 by the time I got it.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
and so I auditioned for it. They had a callback, they had another callback, they had a chemistry read, a second chemistry read, a test, and then they said that that was like the last thing. And I was like, okay, cool. I flew back to Colorado to celebrate my birthday, and they gave me a call, and they were like, we need you to come back in for one more round. And I was like, another one? But I was like, okay, twist my arm.
Yeah.
I'll take another audition. But and then that happened to be, it was like down to me and one other guy. And um my sister actually took me to that one, because she had just gotten her driver's
Oh
license. And
my
so she
God.
was like, Max, I'll be your moral support. And so that helped. And then that was it. But it was crazy. I did not expect it to be that many rounds.
How long of a time span?
I'm trying to think. It was from like late February, early March to June. So
Wow.
for 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
What was it like waiting in between each audition?
That was the one project that like I think I wanted that project more than at least up until that point more than anything else I'd ever auditioned for. And I was just like so nervous, I guess. It was sort of that feeling in my stomach of like, oh my God, I want them to call me. And then every time I would get an email or from my team being like, there's another round, I'd be like, okay, it's still not there yet. It was definitely pretty nerve-wracking, but um I think I also had this feeling about it, and I guess I didn't at that time I didn't know if it was the feeling of like I really want it or the feeling of like I'm right for this role.
Hmm.
And I guess it ended up being a bit of both because I definitely really wanted it, but I do think I was the right guy for the role, which I'm glad they agreed with me. But yeah, no, I was a nervous wreck for like 3 months.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh
and
my
the funniest part, I got the role finally. I got it in like June 15th, I think it was. And then I had my birthday party in Colorado that week because I had to like fly back before it. So I was like, okay, I'll postpone it.
God.
And I couldn't tell anybody because they were like, you can't tell a soul. I could only tell my parents. I couldn't even tell my grandparents. And so all my friends
Your
get to
grandparents
come
are
to
gonna
the
like
birthday party.
spill the news.
They might. I don't know who they would tell,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
my parents were like, "Mm, we shouldn't tell them. They'll tell everybody we know." And I'm like, okay, all right. And so all my friends get there, and they probably thought I was really excited to see them, which I was, but I was like giddy with excitement, and they were all
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we're doing a party. Let's
Oh my
go."
God. That's hilarious. Do you remember like where you were when you got the call?
I was in a hotel room in Denver, which is random because I my birthday party was at this water park in Denver called Waterworld, which was still that was an awesome birthday party. So props to my parents for planning it. But I think I was like just laying there watching a movie or something, waiting for my friends to drive over from because we're like our hometown's
Oh, you
about
got the call like right before the party.
yeah.
Oh
I got
my,
it like this. It was literally like they were maybe 20 minutes out from getting there.
wow.
And then we were all gonna hang out at the hotel that night and the next day go to Waterworld. And so I was like, they're 20 minutes out. My dad was in another room because we had gotten two separate rooms. And he comes and knocks on my door and is like, hey, Max, pick up your phone because even then I was really terrible at responding, which again I apologize. And so I was like, okay, and they called me, and it was like my agent who had pretty much never given me a call before, and so I was like, this is either really good news or
Really
really
bad.
bad news, and I don't know if I want to know which one it is. And they were so, I mean, they were so funny about it, but they literally went, so Max, we got a call from Disney and they have a couple things that they want to like work out, but you got it. And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh God." So they completely subverted my expectations, but it was yeah, no, it was crazy. Then I think I probably should have gotten a noise violation from the hotel room because I was literally jumping up and down
oh
and
my gosh.
making a ton of noise, but yeah, that
How
was
long after the last audition before you got the call?
I think it was only 2 days.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, those were definitely the most nervous two
Yeah.
days for me because I was like, I know that this is the final round.
Yeah.
So if I don't get a call, I'm gonna be real disappointed. But yeah, I think it was only 2 days. They felt like very long days, but it wasn't actually too long.
Oh my gosh. And then you left for Vancouver
Yeah,
how long after?
I think I got that call in June. We left for Vancouver in July, and we filmed the pilot. It was 3 weeks in July/August, and then we got lucky. We got a straight to season order, and
Wow.
so we only had to wait 2 months for the writers' room to get some of the scripts done for the full season, and we headed back in like late September, early October to film the first season.
Of 2018?
Oh gosh, yeah, I think it was.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's a while ago.
So it was just you and your mom?
It was actually me and my dad for that first season, and my mom, because she, at the time, by then she was working in person in LA. But then we got really lucky that over COVID for the second season, all four of us and our old dog and our cat, we all got to go up to Canada and stay there. So I'm happy about that. But the first season was my dad and I, which was a lot of fun too. We were like chilling in our apartment, a lot of very unhealthy food, which in retrospect probably wasn't great, but it was very fun. So
How long were you there for the first? You said 3 weeks?
yeah, for the pilot we were there for 3 weeks, and then like the first season was from October till March.
Wow.
So and it was right during the rainy season, which was
Uh-huh.
a little unfortunate because I mean you've been to Vancouver during the rainy season.
Yeah.
It's cold,
Yeah.
but it's also really pretty. So it's like it's sort of, but it was really fun. It was definitely a long period of time up there because it's pretty dark and I was so used to being with my whole family that it was
Right.
like it was an interesting few weeks. But after the first 6 weeks of being there, we were like, okay, we need to just like come, either I come home on the hiatuses or my parent or my mom comes up there. And so it ended up working out fine that I got to see everybody pretty often. But yeah, it was intense but fun.
So was filming that show, did it check like the dream box for working with Disney?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had this huge sound stage in Vancouver, and we had all these crazy lights and special effects. And then I remember when we came back to LA to do some of the promo for it, they had us do the like wand ID
Oh
things,
my gosh.
which is like the dream of everyone,
It's
right?
the coolest thing.
It's
Yeah.
oh my God. And the guy who was running it was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's the wand. That's the one that everyone who's ever done this has used." And so
Uh-huh.
I was like sitting there holding this wand. I'm like, I'm holding the same one that like Selena Gomez. I'm like, I was freaking out. So
Wow.
definitely checked all the dream boxes for sure.
What was your reaction seeing that video for the first time?
I screen recorded it and sent it to everyone at my school that I knew. And then I posted it 3 times, like actual posts, because I was like, this is not a story post. This is going to
This
my
is not a story. This is on the
this is
grid.
staying. And then I think it was like the first video I ever favorited on because I had just gotten like a good phone. This is the
Uh-huh.
first video I favorited. It's like iconic memory for me. Unreal. I still kind of like people still have to a little bit pinch me to like actually remind me. Oh yeah, no, I got to do the one. That's
Ah! Oh my gosh. I remember when I was in Vancouver, I would turn on the TV all the time when I was like making dinner and Disney Channel would be on and your show would be on all the time. Constantly be on my TV. It was
Oh my
awesome.
God, I love it.
Would you
I
ever just turn on the TV and watch your show? Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably say no. What? Of course
No, I
not.
mean,
No, I every time it was on, I would be
yeah.
like, because that's the only reason I had cable, because I had all the streaming stuff by then and then, but I was like, but Disney Channel's cable. I need cable for that. I need the like three main stations in Disney Channel.
So throughout all this time where you were like acting and auditioning and working, did you have any other passions or interests outside of the business?
I've always been a big fan of, I think I mentioned it, like sports and football and all that. And so when I got out to LA, my mom was like, you can't do tackle football because I had already gotten a concussion as a kid from that. And she was kind of like, I don't want you to get another one, which was probably a good idea. And so we found a couple of really cool flag football leagues out here, which are actually how I met a bunch of my friends and decided to go to a couple like schools that I ended up going to. And so I'm really happy I got to do that and just sort of like balance all the things that I love. It was a lot of fun. Mainly I like going to movies though. So that's most of what I do. I have all the like little movie subscriptions, so I get the unlimited movies. Yeah.
Did you watch that 70s show?
Oh yeah. When it was on Netflix, we watched it 3 times all the way through. Like as a family, that would be the show that we would go watch. And then every time I was like at the gym or in the car or whatever, I would download the episodes to my phone and watch as many as possible.
When did you hear about the reboot? Was it like
It
just
must
getting an
have
audition?
been No, I think it was actually my sister sent me the article that said that they were announcing it. So it must have been October of 2021.
Oh,
My sister was like, Max, check this out. We got to try to get in on this.
wow.
And so I sent it to my team who they were amazing about it. They were like, okay, we'll reach out to casting. We'll see what we can do.
Uh-huh.
And then the next week I had an audition for it. And it was crazy because I didn't even know that there was a role for like me,
No
but
way.
they sent because I was just like, there's got to be, kids my age. Like, I've got to try to get in on this if there's a
Oh
role.
my gosh.
And it happened to be that like there was this character who was, his character description was a corn-fed Midwestern kid who dreams of driving a Ford F-150. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm from Colorado. I'm a corn-fed, practically Midwestern kid. And my grandfather gave me his old Ford F-150 for my 16th birthday. So I was like, I'm literally this character.
Mhm,
I need this role.
mhm.
And I sent in my audition and I didn't hear anything for like 4 months. I was just like,
No
oh,
way.
I guess it wasn't my role. I thought I was so good
Four
for it.
months?
Yeah, or maybe three, four. I think it was four because it was
Wow.
Guess I'm really bad at math. I haven't done math in a while. What? It was October, November, December, January. So it was either 3 or 4 months. So it was sort of that same like Gabby Duran
Yeah.
period. And then in January, my agent called me and was like, they put the casting call back out for this character. And I called him and I was like, you should check out Max's tape again. And they were like, oh my gosh, this tape got like lost in the ether. We never saw it.
Stop. Are you
And
kidding?
so yeah, so they like all this time I this tape had just sort of been like sitting there and I think it probably like got lost in the email or something.
No
And
way.
so they watched it and then I got like an in on Zoom audition with the casting directors on Thursday. Saturday I had a director's session with the director and the showrunner and then by the next week I had the role.
I have chills.
It was
That
crazy. It was probably good that it was such a short timeline after that because it didn't give me much time to be super nervous about it. I was just kind of like, okay, let's go.
well, this just proves your point you said earlier about like the right role is your role. And that is so your
Yeah.
tape literally was
It was
sitting
crazy.
there. They just never saw
Yeah.
it.
It was just like it got lost in the fold at some point, and then luckily I have to give so many props to my agent who was like, "Wait a minute, you guys should check his out again." I'm like, thank you.
Could you imagine if that never happened?
No, I would have been so sad.
But
Because
you
and
would have never known.
I would never have known because
Yeah.
I would have just been like, I guess that it wasn't like my role. Dang. But yeah, no, I'm very lucky that they ended up finding the tape.
Where were you when you got that call?
I think I was maybe at school. Like
Really?
I think I was at lunch and I got that call and I was like, or maybe I might have been in class, which I wasn't supposed to be on my phone, but my phone started buzzing, so I was like, what's going on? And then I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom, sprinted out, answered the phone, and they were like, okay, so Max, here's the thing, and I was like, okay, because they never call me, so I was like, I'm getting a call from Tiffany, I better pick this up, so yeah, that I think that was Wednesday. The next day I had the like Zoom call and then it just sort of went from there.
Oh my
It was
God. I had no idea how much that 70s show was a part of your life.
yeah, I mean we would always joke about like, oh, if they hadn't already done that, that would be like our dream project. Which character would you be? That it was like we would always I could never decide because I would want to like they were all my favorites, so it was really hard for me to be like, I want to be, that character because then I was like, but also they're pretty great and they're awesome. They're really funny. So I was like, this
Wow.
was the craziest like when I saw this come across my desk or whatever, my proverbial desk. I don't really have a desk, so my Instagram feed
Yeah.
that I was just like, oh my God, that's the role I have to try to
Are
to
you even able to
crazy.
like process it even now? No?
No, even now that it's like out there and I've been on set with all these people, I still have not processed it. It's still just sort of like one day I'm gonna wake up and someone's gonna tell me that was a good dream, huh? But no, it was crazy. Yeah.
Congrats on a season two. That's so
Ah,
exciting.
thank you. I'm so excited. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Plus, it's extra episodes, so it's like we get even more to work with. So it's gonna
Where
be
do you
killer.
film?
We filmed right like down on Sunset at the
Okay.
Sunset Bronson. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool because Netflix they are on a bunch of those lots down there on Sunset, so we're right down there.
And did you meet the cast during like a chemistry read, or you didn't meet everyone who got to set?
Yeah, I had a chemistry read with Sam, who plays Nikki, Ashley, who plays Gwen, and Mace, who plays Jay. And it was funny. I had like all of their chemistry reads back to back,
On
and
Zoom or in person?
Zoom, which honestly for me was great because I could like be in my room,
Yeah.
like just be like, and then I ran out to my living room where I had the Zoom, and I was like, all right, let's do this. So I got myself hyped up. Yeah, it was crazy because I had them all back to back, and so I was super nervous. And then I did the chemistry read with Mace, and he was amazing. And I was like, okay, got one done. And then I did the one with Gwen or Ashley, and she was super amazing. And I was like, I better to be doing a good job. And then I did the one with Sam, and she was also super amazing. I was just like, this is very intimidating. But if I get to be on this set, I'm going to be so happy because everyone was so, like, even over Zoom, we had such a connection doing the scene that I was like, this is amazing. This is something that really
Yeah.
only comes along once once in a while. So it was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the show and all of your chemistry. It really is. It's just a perfect group.
It's a lot of fun. It was pretty funny because we got there on set the first day, and I guess none of us had actually ever met in person, but we all were in the hallway, and we all just had like a huge group hug because we were so excited to be there. Then we got on the table read. It was just like the adrenaline never stopped from then on. It was just this one big family. So.
How was this experience different than filming Gabby?
Well, it shoots in LA, which is good. So it's nice and warm and not rainy, but I did like Vancouver a lot, so no shade. Um, I think the biggest difference for me is that it's a multicam instead of a single cam. And so the shooting schedule is so different for it because on Gabby Duran, we'd be doing 5 days a week. We'd have scenes because it just took that long to get an episode done. Whereas this is like Monday's the table read and we do a little rehearsal and then we're there for like 2 hours. Tuesday we do our run through, Wednesday we do a bunch more rehearsal, and then Thursday we pre-shoot like the circle scenes, and Friday we shoot everything in one night in front of a live studio audience. So it was like a way easier schedule, but also for me a little bit more nerve-wracking because it's like live performance, which I never did any theater as a kid or in high school or anything like
Really?
that. I have terrible stage fright.
Oh,
Which
that's
is
so
ironic because I'm
interesting.
like, I have to get up there and be in front of a camera, but I'm not too nervous about that. But yeah, so I was worried that the live studio audience would get to me, but it's actually a lot of fun because you can tell if your joke worked like immediately. And
Yeah.
so if I say something and it doesn't get quite the reaction I want, then I can just change it up and I have like the next take to do it.
I want to try to come to one of those this
Oh my
season.
God, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have 16 of them. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
get you
we're
a
gonna
ticket.
amazing.
I think I can get like VIP quote unquote tickets. So hopefully this year you guys can actually like come down onto the set and check
Yeah.
it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd love that.
That'd be so fun.
On a filming day on Friday, tell me like a full day in your life from start to finish.
I let myself sleep in because I don't need to get to set until like 1, so I sleep until like 10.
Uh-huh.
It's very chill. And then when we get to set, I pretty much do nothing between 10 and 1, which I'm realizing I could sleep for longer, so I might do that this. Uh, but when we get there, the very first thing that we do is we go in for like one last round of rehearsals just to sort of keep everything fresh in our minds. And I think we just do like a once over on each scene. And then we all go get dressed and have dinner and go through hair and makeup. And then by about 4:30, we're down on the set getting ready to like do our curtain call and get ready. And at 5, the thing starts and it's kind of off and running. Yeah, it's crazy to me because the very first live show we did, I mean, we were all pretty nervous, but I was definitely the most nervous, like wreck of all of us. And Deborah Jo and Kurtwood, and honestly, everyone was there. It was Topher and Mila and Ashton, and Wilmer was there. He wasn't in that episode, but he came to support. And so they brought us in on this tradition of theirs from 70s show where we would all put our hands in the middle and like say our favorite line on 3 and then
Oh,
break and run out and do everything. Like that's when it got started. And so that was sort of the moment for me that I was also like, oh my God, my hands are in a circle with Deborah Jo and Kurtwood and Mila. And I was like freaking out. But
yeah.
at the same time, I was like, okay, bringing us into this tradition. I've got to like, I'm gonna convert this into excitedness and adrenaline, and yeah, it was pretty cool. But
That
I
is-
was definitely very nervous.
Did you ever attend one of these shows, like a live studio audience situation before this?
Yeah, actually, I'm realizing it was very like weirdly full circle. I went to way back in August of 2014 when we came out to meet with our manager for that first time. My parents took us to a live taping of Let's Make a Deal while Wayne Brady was hosting it,
Uh-huh.
um, which was a ton of fun. And we won like a couple prizes and that sort of thing. But I'm realizing now that was on the exact same studio lot that we filmed 90's show on.
Wow.
Actually, I think it might have even been in the same like stage.
Oh
It
my
was either the stage that we shot in or the one right next to it. So that's mm, that's weirdly full
wow.
circle. Okay. I got a little bit of chills there. That's cool.
That is so cool. Are you a big manifester?
I feel like I manifested season two for this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it was on the last day of filming. We were all like saying it, and we were all like, "Oh, we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back." And then we were all crossing our fingers because we didn't want to jinx anything. But we were all like, I kept saying, "I'm manifesting season two." So I feel like I got to stay true to that. I feel like I did manifest it.
I feel like I guess just from what I've seen, your show was an instant hit.
It was kind of crazy. Like I expected people to like it because I was like I feel like we made a really good show, and I was hoping that people would like it and
Yeah.
relate to it and whatever. But we I went to Sundance with Callie and her family and a couple of other great people, um, and we started driving out the day after the show or the day the show came out. It was on the 19th, and so I was in like a hotel in Mesquite, Nevada, and I got up at 6 a.m. because I don't know why. I think I left the blinds open and the sun came up and I was like, "Eh." But I rolled over and looked at my phone and the 90s show group chat that we have was just blowing up.
Uh-huh.
And Sam texted a screenshot that it was like the number one show on Netflix. And I was
Wow.
like, What?" I was mind blown. I still am. That like it went straight up to number one. It was insane. I think it was really cool when Ren and I got to go to the premiere of Your Place or Mine, which was Ashton's new movie with Reese Witherspoon. And it was crazy because it was this huge red carpet, and like I had never seen anything quite
At
like that.
Westwood?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I was just like blown away by it and also a little nervous, but I was like, okay, I can kind of like I'll just come in here and do my thing. And they had this whole like I guess it's not really a pit, but it was sort of like it felt like a pit at a concert type thing with all these people like lined up to meet people, and they started calling out my name. And I was like, I'm not here like for anything that I'm doing, so I guess these people just know my name, which
Uh-huh.
was that was probably the most surreal moment for me was like, oh God, there's people at this like premiere that I'm not even involved in that I
Right.
somehow managed to get invited to, and they're like calling my name. That was pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
no,
Did you
that
guys
was
have a
a lot of
premiere for
fun.
season one?
We did. We were at the I can't remember the name of it. It's Netflix's theater, right down in Hollywood. And so they had a really cool like reception, and then I think they had a pre-reception, and then the red carpet, and then we all went in, and it was crazy to watch it on this huge like
Yeah.
movie screen. I never thought I'd see my face that big, but it was really cool.
If your younger self could see you now, what do you think he'd say?
I don't think he'd believe me.
Hmm.
Like especially I'm gonna go younger self like me in Colorado before we ever came out here.
Yeah.
I mean, me when we came out here would be really, really excited, but me in Colorado would probably be like, "You're lying. There's no way. Where's no." I think probably the thing that younger me would also be the most excited about was the Disney wand thing.
Mhm.
Like if I showed, 8-year-old me that, he would freak out.
And
It
what
would be
would
something
you
crazy.
tell him now?
That's a good question. I mean, they've all been great questions, so I'll say
Thank you.
that one stumped me. Let's see. What would I tell? I think, I mean, probably just about like there will be a lot of, things that you don't get. Because I think there is, when I first came out here, there was sort of this expectation, especially we got pretty lucky. We booked one of the first few auditions that we went on for that music video and then the short film. And so I was just like, oh, this is a walk in the park. This is easy. I think I would probably just want to tell myself like it's not, it's gonna take a while, and it's gonna be a lot of auditions, a lot of rejection, and a lot of, da da da, but then also these really great moments of being on set and these great successes. And I think just stick to it, which I'm glad that I did. So I'm gonna make sure my younger self does, so I don't mess that up for myself.
What advice would you give to someone who dreams of being an actor and being on Disney Channel and doing all these things that you're doing?
I mean, I feel like the biggest one, it might sound a little cliche, but is like just you like gotta believe in yourself. And I feel like that's always the one that people say, but it's super true because it's you, even if there are these thousands of auditions or whatever it ends up being for this particular person, it's like just stick to it and know that you're good. You're gonna get it. You're gonna make it. You're gonna, find those successes and believe in yourself.
What has been your favorite moment on set of that 90s show so far?
Every day we would go eat lunch at the Netflix building,
Mhm.
which is a pretty surreal sentence now that I'm like saying it out loud.
Casual. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's just like, halfway across the studio lot, and they have these great picnic tables, and then you go inside, they have like all these sodas and waters and a bunch of free stickers that they always would give us. At least I think they're free. I hope that we didn't end up stealing a bunch of stickers from Netflix. We might have, but I think probably that, and then also the filming of the very like last episode of season one was a ton of fun because we were all just like at that point so comfortable in our characters, and we were improvising some and just having a blast on set. And then I think it was kind of then that we were all like, okay, this doesn't feel like the end, so we'll be back. And that was probably like the best moment for me, just being like, this is so much fun, and I feel like we're going to be able to keep doing this.
You are really passionate about the environment.
Yeah.
And you recently started a foundation with your sister.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So we just started, yeah, like you said, nonprofit called Nature's Negotiators. And it's really been a ton of fun getting to do because we had this sort of crazy brainstorming session back in November with my mom, who's an applied anthropologist, about like, okay, we're going to be coming into this world, we're going to have this platform that we want to be able to use for positive change, and spreading like a good message.
Yeah.
And so we were like, all right, what do we want that to look like? And we kind of boiled it down to these few missions that are really the basis of Nature's Negotiators. And we sort of took it and ran from there. And since then, we've been lucky enough, we've partnered up with the Jane Goodall Institute, and we actually got to meet Jane Goodall, which was
Wow.
insane.
So
I mean,
cool.
she's like my mom's hero, my hero. I mean, we were all just like sitting there in awe,
Wow.
jaws on the floor. And so that was crazy, and it's been a ton of fun. We've gotten to do some press for it and get our first campaign off the ground, which is all about the king salmon or king Chinook salmon in Alaska, and they're depleting numbers. And that was sort of like the perfect first thing for us because we really wanted to come in here and be like, okay, we can come in at this local slash grassroots level and identify the problem, but also identify like the root causes of it and how we can find a sustainable solution for that by bringing all of these disparate stakeholders to the table so that everyone has a voice in making the decision for how best to I guess solve the issue. That was really important to us because we didn't want to come in and like point fingers at anybody,
Right.
because we want to be able to have these victories that make everybody happy and actually will create this long-term sustainable change. And so I think so far I have to give massive props to my mom because she's like the one in charge of the whole thing, and she has been in contact with a ton of people up in Alaska and all these incredible companies and nonprofits and government organizations, and just getting her done. It's been crazy.
How can people get involved and support?
Yeah. Well, they can visit our website, it's naturesnegotiators.org. And we also have an Instagram, which is just Nature's Negotiators. And my sister and I have our Instagrams that people can follow. I guess it's Happy in Hollywood for her, Mad Max Donovan for me. And I mean, I think the biggest way right now is reposting all of the slides and information that we have, because our campaign is largely about education right now, just sort of helping people understand the issue itself.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm really happy about it.
Back to acting. What
Yeah.
are your career goals and whose careers do you look up to?
Oh, that's a really good question too. There's been so many. Um, I think my overall career goal right now, I'm in, and I've at the Lux at the LA County High School for the Arts. I did the film program because somewhere along the way I decided it would be my ultimate dream to direct and act, kind of how Ben Affleck does and Jason Bateman, and so definitely their careers I want to try to emulate. 'Cause they're just incredible actors in both comedy and drama, and also incredible directors. So that would be really cool. And actually, Laura Prepon, who plays Donna on 70's and 90's, she directed a bunch of our stuff too. So I'm completely in awe of her, because she's like literally acting and running back and forth between it and killing both games. It's amazing. Um, yeah, I think that would kind of be my ultimate goal. And then more specifically on the acting side, I would love to do like a couple of movies, maybe an action sort of thing. And I'm obsessed with Chris Pratt and like the whole Guardians of the Galaxy, that sort of
Uh-huh.
thing. So if they ever need a young Chris Pratt or like maybe his estranged younger brother, I'm super in, because Chris Pratt's another one of those guys I try to
I
like
was just
emulate.
on a Zoom with him like a month ago.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Our mutual connection, Matisha, I'm really excited because I've been working on like a bunch of voice lessons and guitar lessons with the idea. I don't know if it's gonna work out, but this also like there's two different things. I guess I'll start with the voice lessons kind of relate to like what I would love to do as an actor, because I'm Greek, and that's like most of my heritage is Greek. And I actually did the ancestry like test. Apparently my dad's also Greek, which I didn't know.
Huh.
So that's exciting. I've got to come in for both sides. But I would love to be able to do like if they ever do the live action Hercules, I
Mm.
feel like come on, I would love to do that. So I've been working on the voice for that, and then the guitar, because my mom really wants me to start a band, and I just watched Daisy Jones and the Six, and now I really want to start a band.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully that too.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
Maybe
we'll
they
see.
can implement it into season 2. Who knows? Nate starts a band.
No spoilers, but maybe fingers
Oh, we'll have to watch.
crossed.
Now, do you have any inkling of inspiration to do theater?
You know, I think I would be more inclined to do it now than I would have been like a year ago. I feel like I'm more comfortable in front of that audience, but I do think it would probably still be a bit more nerve-wracking to me because it's all like, you know, kind of one take.
Right.
And I don't think I flub my lines too much, but I do like having multiple takes if I need it. Um, I do think though it would be a lot of fun to try out theater one day. And my sister is so good at theater that it's sort of intimidating, but maybe I could do a play with her and she could kind of do the heavy lifting and I'll just like, be the funny little side character. I'm happy with that.
Claire's play, Hooded or Being Black for Dummies, I went to with Matisha, and it was so incredible. I actually
Great.
met Sam there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Small world.
Small world.
That is
Um,
awesome. Yeah,
but
I
she was
I was so
amazing.
in awe of her and that whole production.
Yes,
It was
it was amazing.
insanely good.
What are the career and personal goals for the next like 2-3 years?
2 3 years. Whoa. Well, I'm working at I'm at DePaul right now, which is the university in Chicago. I don't know if I mentioned it. I'm doing the film program there as well for directing. Well, I'm not on set, which so far I haven't had great attendance because we've been doing promo and then
Uh-huh.
now we're back for season two. So I was like, I don't know how much I'll actually be there, but when I can, it's a fantastic film program. So that to sort of further the directing, and I hope that we get many more seasons of 90s show, and I think it would be really great to do a movie at some point in the next 2 years. I did one. It was the American Girl Mary Ellen movie.
Oh, cool!
And that was a ton of fun, and it was actually
That's so cool.
It was, oh my God, I loved it.
Who played the American Girl?
It was Olivia Allen Lind.
Okay.
Yeah, who is on Chucky, which is also very good. Big fan.
I feel like I've like recognized the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that was a lot of fun, and I actually shadowed on that. But I remember now. Okay, this is good, because that was when I figured out that I wanted to kind of do both sides of the camera and do directing as well as acting, because the director on that project, Valerie Weiss, actually let me shadow her a bit.
Wow.
And like follow her kind of daily routine and what she does as a director. And I just reconnected with her and Olivia actually at the Outer Banks premiere because Valerie directed a bunch of Outer Banks, which is, I'm actually wearing an Outer Banks hat right now.
Oh, cool.
It's one of my all-time favorite shows. So that was like another full circle, very cool moment for me. So yeah, that'd be
wow. That's amazing. Well, I always end with this question. It's my favorite question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Ooh. Ooh. God, there's some really amazing questions. That is a good one. I think my mainly I want it to be related to Nature's Negotiators, and just I want to leave the world better than I came into it. And sort of leave behind this message of hope, but also that there is we can fight for the world and get it where it should, get it back to where it should be. And yeah, I think probably that, but also I hope that I make people laugh on shows, because that's a good legacy too.
Well, you're already doing all of that, so I think you're in good shape.
Fingers crossed, right?
Max, thank you so much for doing this. You are amazing. I am so inspired by you, and I'm so excited to continue watching your journey and seeing all the incredible things that you do.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And I hope to actually come to your
oh my gosh, yeah, we got to make that happen.
Yeah.
We'll get Matisha, we'll get the group. I mean, it's not a huge group, but it's a good group. So we'll get the group together.
Small but mighty.